Hello everyone, welcome to Sharmit. In this session, we are going to talk about another very important topic for Angular, where we will be discussing the approaches and form building techniques of Angular. Okay, so by the end of this session, you will be able to understand what is form building techniques, or what are the approaches that we have that comes with Angular to create or build the form. Okay. So these all things we will be discussing, and we will go in the same way. Like firstly, I'll explain you the requirement, like why do we need to understand these two types of forms building methods. Okay, and also I'll show you the differences between these two things. Although like these two types of forms are individually a big topic which we will be discussing in the upcoming sessions for sure with their example, but before that we should know about the basic difference, so that things would be much more understandable for you when you are actually creating these forms. Okay, that is the reason like I am separately firstly introducing you with these two approaches and form building techniques. Okay, so I think this is clear, like what we are going to learn in this session. By the end of the session you will be able to understand what are the form building techniques or approaches available with Angular, what is template driven forms, what is reactive forms. So these all things would be clear. But before we proceed further with this session, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released sessions first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow it sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic, because for time being we are just mainly focusing on the differences between template driven as well as reactive form. We are talking about the form building technique, but prior to that you should know what is Angular forms, why do we use it, and all the basic stuff related to that. And to refer all these things, what you can do, you can refer the Sharmit digital course book, which is freely available in the description box. From there you can take reference from more than 3000 plus free resources available in both Hindi as well as English language. So you can just simply watch it as per your convenience. Okay, all right, so let's start the session. Here you can see firstly we have noted down the one main heading, that is Angular course by Sharmit, and post that we have this thing that is our main topic for today's session: Angular's approach to forms, or you can say Angular form building techniques. So in Angular, like we can say that Angular provides two distinct form building techniques. One is template driven forms and the second one is reactive form. So why we are discussing these things in detail? Because these are the questions that will be like you will see these kind of questions in interviews or exam. I'm sure like some of you are preparing for interviews also. So what like they can simply ask like how many distinct form building techniques are there with Angular forms in terms of Angular forms. So you can simply answer that Angular provides two distinct form building techniques. One is template driven form and another one is reactive forms. Okay, now after that interviewer or examiner might ask you the further detailed question like what is template driven forms and what are reactive forms. So now I'll explain you one by one both of the methods. Okay, so here like you can see I have noted down the pointers, so one by one we will go through the pointer and we'll try to understand their actual concept. So first is template driven forms. So these are the form that contains the logic, or you can say its logic is mainly in the HTML template. So when you write your entire logic into a HTML template, then in that case that particular form is known as template driven forms. Okay, so this is very important line, because this will help you to understand the differences also between the reactive form and template driven form. Okay, second thing is it uses ng model for two-way data binding. Yes, so if you want to build a two-way data binding concept, if you want to implement two-way data binding, then in that case it uses the ng model to implement the two-way data binding. Third thing is it is suitable for simpler forms. Now what do you mean by simpler forms? So suppose there is an application or a website where you want to create a form, but that form is not that complex. You just need one or two fields, that's it. and it is very simplest data that you are looking for, no validation and all, the basic thing, right? So in that case, what you can do, you can use the template driven form, but make sure it should not be used for the dynamic forms or complex form. It should be only preferable for the simpler forms. Okay, fine. Why we are using it? Because it is more declarative and easier for beginners. Okay, so let's say if someone is there who just started learning about the Angular forms, so they can firstly try with template driven form. They can explore a bit about template driven form, so that things would be much more easier for them. Okay, so these are mostly recommended for the beginners because it is more declarative and easier. Next point says it relies on Angular directives automatically tracking state. Okay, so it completely relies on Angular directives automatically tracking state. Fine. So these are the all pointers which will help you to understand what is exactly the term template driven forms. So just keep these pointers, at least these pointers should be in your mind while you are going for an interview or an exam, because these are the question. If someone is asking about the forms, for sure, like there might be a question like this, like where we will write the logic in template driven form. So you can simply answer that the logic of the form template driven form is mainly present in the HTML template. It is suitable for simpler forms. It is more declarative and easier for beginners. Clear? Now we will talk about the second form building technique of Angular, that is reactive form. Okay. Now the question comes, what are reactive forms? So you can simply answer that reactive form is a form where the logic is written in a TypeScript file. Okay. So when you are when you are maintaining or managing the forms and your entire logic is written in the TypeScript, then in that case you can clearly say that it is a reactive form. I think now the difference is also clear to you. Like what like if we talk about the template driven forms, like they simply write the logic inside the template, right, HTML template. But if we are talking about the reactive form, then it keeps the entire data into TypeScript file. Okay. The second important thing is it uses explicit form control, form group and form array classes. Okay, so it uses form control, form group and form array classes. It is more scalable and predictable. Yes. So if you want to scale your application in terms of form, then you can go with reactive form because it is more scalable and predictable. Fine. Along with that, it is also best for the testability and performance. So yes, if you want to make sure that your form performs well, then in that case you can go with a reactive form. Okay. Now the next thing is it is best for complex and dynamic forms. Yes. So if you are dealing with a dynamic data, dynamic form, lots of validation, so in that case you can go with a reactive form. Now we have discussed all pointers for all these two approaches, right? But the question comes, which one to use? So that thing we will discuss in the upcoming session, because as I mentioned, like these are individual big topic, right? We need more time to understand the concept and examples and everything. But just keep it one thing in mind, that both are very important forms, because as per the requirement you have to select which one will go better with your project requirement. Okay, so if there is a requirement where you want to deal with the dynamic data, for sure you will go with a reactive form. If there is a form which is very simple and just few fields are there, then in that case you will go with a template driven form. So it completely depends on your requirement, but as a developer, as a technical expert, you should know about both techniques because it will work in both cases. Okay. So yeah, I think this session will help you just to introduce you with these kind of techniques, and from the next session, one by one we will pick both forms methods and we'll try to learn more about their theoretical things. This is just for the introductory purpose. Now we will discuss these forms in detailed manner. Okay, so that you can understand which one to use when. And also we will discuss about the practical examples. One by one we will write everything and verify the things using the output. Clear? So yeah, that's all for today. See you in the next session with new topics. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.